Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they have to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone, welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio, and I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. I'm really glad that you could join me today. And if you're listening this on iTunes, for instance, please make sure you stop by and subscribe so you can catch up with all of the shows, and also be sure to leave a comment or review. That's always helpful so the show can be found by more people. So make sure you do that as well. So I want to introduce my guest for today, Kelly Stickel, CEO and founder of Remodista, and she's the brains behind this concept award ceremony. These women listed her as one of the top 50 Chicago influencers. Kelly has been operating Remodista for over 5 years now and is an industry expert in all things retail, e-commerce, and more. Could you tell us more about Women to Watch?
Yes, so I've been running my think tank 3 years full-time since I left management consulting, and I work with 20 retail execs. We meet once a quarter in New York, and they were helping me build community as a business model. Mm-hmm. And I noticed in quarters 8 and 9 of last year, 16 of my 20 executives had been promoted or sold their businesses. And that told me we were being more insightful than others, mm-hmm. and that collaboratively we were gaining more ground. And so that led me quickly to launch the Women to Watch program this past January. Mm-hmm. And we named 80 women in all areas of the business that we felt were women to watch. And then we sort of highlighted and shared their successes along the way. Mm-hmm. And then in September, we gave out 6 innovation awards. And my favorite outcome so far is in the first 3 quarters, 30 of those 80 women have changed title and job, or mm-hmm. title or job. Mm-hmm. And to me, we were just starting to see that same momentum, as well as we expanded the program to Australia. Mm-hmm.
So that would sound as though bringing people together in the community can really help for these women to really go up the ladder, and also you're also working with small businesses as well?
Yeah, I work with all different types of retail. The models that are coming out that are working, they're more startup, but are enterprise traditional retail companies. I have women that are in all types of business sizes when it comes to retail. Mm-hmm. And really we're saying, we're a community first analyst group. So, everyday executives can solve their problems if they work mm-hmm. together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing great results. Right. And that's how women work, is through collaboration and education. That's how we buy. That's how we do business. We want to educate and we want to collaborate.
Mm-hmm. So are there also, any initiatives to bring in more women? Let's say if someone's in school or wondering about a career choice, are there things in place or things that you would be looking to put in place to help them maybe now to say, well, this is a track I want to follow and want to go into this industry?
Well, over the years, I've done a lot of different programs. I worked with the Girl Scouts for a year, and we did etiquette on the net, how to act as a young lady, on the web, and then did some work called Breaking Glass series, which was learning from challenges and obstacles that executives faced in their careers, helping young women understand the paths they can take. And I did a program called The Digital You, which was really talking about how we now are our brands are both in person and digital, and really looking at a 360-degree view of how you're branding your own personal self as you're going through your career. And so in all of those classes or workshops, we give them tools to get to the next level. And so I spent a lot of my career doing that, but now at this point, I'm focused on women who know their leaders, women who are at the top, and getting them to the very top. So CMO to CEO, public advisory board roles, those kinds of things. That's where my focus is now. And then hopefully for the last 2 decades, all the other women I've helped are paying it forward, helping younger women.
And that would be very, very important to keep things growing.
Yes.
Would you say that, based on your studies and things you've done, would you say as far as statistically with the retail, we were talking about the leadership positions and the percentage and then women as consumers and decision makers, is this something that you see globally, or is this more the statistics that are more in the United States, or, what
Yes.
are you seeing?
Well, globally, it's even lower numbers, as far as percentage of executives. So, when I look at the U.S., I have the most rights and am the most equal here. So we see this pattern in every vertical around the world. So, I think when society realizes that half of your workforce can potentially be female, and we're going to global strategies, that the countries that invest in this asset will win. And, that asset could change. I realized, my mission or passion or journey in life is to help women, but it isn't only to help women and then younger women. It's anybody who doesn't yet have a voice. And so, what we set up right now, we're cultivating women leaders, but that asset could change as we grow in this world.
Right. And that makes sense. So what is it, what are some of the things that your company is doing involved in with retail and the different, research and different things that you're doing right now?
Sure. Yeah, this year we published 8 retail source papers, and what we really did is listen to our community of executive leaders, and they told us over a couple of years how they'd like us to present content and education to them. And we published 6 papers, and they really more had us solve the business challenges in retail, and then really simple, fundamental ways to look at it. So it's almost for an executive stakeholder that needs to get money from somebody who doesn't really understand what's happening, it's a nice paper. It's a nice conversation starter. So we've had some really good luck with executives needing and being able to articulate the future to a current stakeholder. And then we just launched this weekend our 2nd year of our Women to Watch program, and nominations are open in the U.S., and we just expanded to Australia. So women leaders are able to self or peer nominate for this honor, and we'll be publishing the list of these honorees December 31st. And then lastly, we have our Retail Lookbook, which is our community-first analyst look at retail disruption. And we've been working on this for 3 years, and our book will come out December 8th, and it'll be a digital book online. So you'll be able to go to remodista.com and see it, or Google Retail Lookbook.
Okay, so there's definitely a lot going on, a lot of good information you're putting together.
Yes.
As far as, a lot of women who start small businesses a lot of times are going into retail in some way. I guess Etsy comes to mind among other websites. As far as that's going right now, do you see any trends there as far as, the smaller business woman who just really wants to do something for herself? What are some things you're seeing at that level?
Yeah, well, I welcome any women working on retail businesses. Feel free to reach out to me. We talk to so many different types of businesses, and have really seen a pattern also in Australia that a lot of the retail innovation is coming from women. and a lot of them happen to be, like a background of investment banking. I see that as a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But what we really see is the future of retail is live customer engagement, and then web and mobile and the Internet of Things will connect the dots. And it's these younger companies that have less overhead and less restrictions than our larger traditional models, that they can actually jump the market. We're also starting to see marketplace become really valuable. So you're collecting a group of brands under one area, and it's operating much like Remodista, which is a community. And when you work in a community manner, you have a purpose. And so people tend to answer purpose before their own purpose when you put a higher reward there. And a good example is you can look at LinkedIn, and there's no purpose, so everybody sort of does what they want. You can see kind of that freeing, but if our purpose is to educate brands, cultivate women leaders, and connect a global community. And it's almost like once you work on that, then you can do something for yourself in the community.
That's a good point. Excellent. So, as far as I guess this momentum, a lot of it, of course, is being changed by social media and technology. How do you see, as far as social media, especially exploding in probably in the past few years, how do you feel that's affecting retail?
Well, I don't know that the technology is changing. Our customer is changing. She can do what she wants, when she wants, how she wants, wherever she wants. And she is changing the way we're doing business. So traditionally, we would approach retail on a very transactional strategy. We pull her in and get her to buy. And in present day, she will come in from 100 points of entry and will buy when she's ready, and so we're digesting content differently. We're reviewing product differently. We're, sort of weaving all different types of social touch points into the buying decisions. So it's absolutely going to be a huge piece of it. But I think when you look at retailers, the way that they build strategy is to create an authentic story that pulls her in, that resonates with her, that gets her to feel like you're a part of who she is.
Right. Wow. Well, it's, and that's interesting what you're saying, because as far as social media changing how the consumer now is making decisions and whether they really want to participate or not, and they're going to go or maybe do different comparisons that maybe people didn't have access to before, or even just in terms of leaving reviews and things like that maybe, someone goes to the store and buys something and complains or likes it. Maybe you don't know who else bought it or how they felt about it. So it seems like all of that now is all a part of the mix.
Well, I think trusted community is the future of business in any vertical. It is, the larger our world gets and the more unindexed content is out there, how do you know who to trust?
Yeah.
You trust who you know. And women that, base their business on referral more than anything. And a referral from a woman is very, very taken very seriously. So it's changing the behavior of how we buy and sell, for example, in technology, because maybe that, it's different than how men were buying and selling in the last 20 years. And what's happening is we have enough women buyers now that we can change the behavior to fit what we like.
Exactly. Do you think that most women realize their power as consumers?
No, I think I think that women know they run the house and women know they make buying decisions, but I don't know if we've really fundamentally said, okay, she buys 85% of the product, yet we have a team of male product managers, who are going to put the cup in a car for a mom of 4 children. So it's really trying to think about that.
Exactly. Yeah, because I often get the feeling that there's still a disconnect.
I still think we understand our power, and it is very powerful. I mean, that to own that much of the market is pretty interesting.
Yes, it is, actually, and that's why I wonder sometimes if people realize how powerful it is. because sometimes even just in terms of ads that you see, or, sometimes it seems like they're still based in the 1950s or some other time that they think is appealing, but they're not really caught up to how life is today. So it just seems like there's, they're not like
Well, and as I can say, I think improvements are being made. One of the big pushes or changes in men that I see, a lot of men my age now have daughters going into high school and college, and they want equality for her. They want the same opportunities their sons have, and they don't always see it. And now they resonate more with it, less likely to resonate when it was me, because they're like, she can get it done. She's not less than, she'll scrap it out. But that was really, that's how we're seeing more men, and it doesn't matter to me how they come over. It's just that they do.
Right. Exactly. That's true. So they can kind of, come up to speed on
and what I've learned is they, the way we do business, the way we operate, they like it too. And so I think that there'll be value added when we have more diversity in our executive suites.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could just have, one woman in every executive suite, that would be a nice start, in my opinion.
Exactly. Why do you think that, when you, I believe that you also mentioned that when women are at these levels and you're seeing more success, do you think that's an idea that's been slow to catch on, or because it seems like,
idea?
It's a no-brainer. As far as women being in these positions and leading companies or being in the boardroom, it would seem that those companies also may be more successful.
Well, I think we're starting to see it now because the numbers are here to prove it. And, I just think we bring a different type of thinking to the table, and it offers when you put different, I don't even know that it's necessarily about women. It's just when you put different types of people together at different levels of income with different levels of intellect, the more, disparate we could be, the better the solutions are because everyone's thinking differently. And I just think as we grew up in business, it was men hiring men, and women sort of had to fight in and up, and we're doing it, and now there's data supporting it. And so I just think we'll see, I'm looking for places where we can make an impact quickly or more quickly, like with IoT coming up and women in retail. To me, it's like we need to get women's heads up and on the stage. We don't naturally want to do that. And men naturally do, but we need women to get their head up and speak and talk so that young women can see their reflection.
Right.
So, these are just natural behaviors. Women don't tend to speak until they're 100% an expert. Men will speak at 60. It's advantageous in innovation to speak at 60 because we don't know everything and we hardly know anything. So, we're not always making the right choices based on our instincts on how we operate. So we kind of have to pull women out and say why, give her the reasons, and once you tell her, she becomes much more engaged and feels committed. There's a purpose there to deliver, help our young women see their future.
Yeah, and I think that's always a good motivation because a lot of women go into business because they really want to make some changes or in terms of their communities or their families. So it always seems like the purpose, at least the ones I've spoken to, seems to be a little bit more than, I just wanted a couple of dollars. So like they're looking at something else.
It's rarely about money when I talk to women. Like for me, in order to build a business using community as a business model, you have to be willing to invest in laying down a foundation. And that is not revenue driving. It's not revenue producing. But the other side of community is the return is 10 times the normal return of a business model if you can take the pain of not making an income immediately. Or, not making revenue.
Yeah.
And it's almost like now when you sit and look at the inside of a community, you have to figure out what levers to turn off versus a typical business model, which is where are my levers? Where's my money coming from? And you're trying to find revenue. So it's really been an interesting journey building a business that I wanted to have purpose and to solve problems and then to also be profitable. And it's set to do that. But, my business has goodwill architected into a for-profit business. So every time we do business, we're helping women.
Do you think it's going to be a major shift in general in the business
Yes.
world to kind of see things in this different way?
Well, I mean, I think that women want to see goodwill architected into any business. Some sort of philanthropy, some sort of giving back, and men do too. But I do think millennials want transparent world where they know where their things are coming from, how they were made, who made them, and they expect to know what's in their products. And I think to a lesser degree, we didn't have that same passion to uncover truth and authenticity. And so we're really seeing a pattern change, healthier foods, better ways of doing things, and it's the options are endless, the solutions that people are coming up with. But when somebody says, "Is my business successful?" The financial is an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the world change. I want to see business better. I want to see women buyers being sold to like they want. I'd rather see these community gains. And then profit's part of it, but not the only thing, and certainly not the main thing.
Right. That's true.
I'm sure that doesn't sit well with lots of people, but, it's how I want to build my own business, which is why I built I have taken no investment yet, because I really wanted to make sure it was doing the things that I wanted to do for women, re-engineering the way we do business so it's the way that the female buyer likes.
Well, I think that sounds great, actually, because I think for a lot of people maybe who haven't been exposed to business, and it could be a lot of people just maybe doing their own smaller startups. And as I said, I'm talking about the person who is starting the Etsy shop or the person who's just starting maybe to produce a product, that their image of what business is probably, I guess, what the older image of business was, where they're not really thinking in this new way.
Well, you can definitely tell a small business person like that, think mobile, think of the customer. And it is, when you are that small, to use a third party like Amazon or Etsy or something to sort of test out your market, you can always be building your customer base. Without, the ultimate expression of live customer engagement could be a store, but it can also be the trunk of a car. It can be engagement at a social venue where you have product. So you don't have to have the overhead needed at one time in the past, because we're not first opening real estate. You don't have to have your own large e-commerce platform. There's plenty of providers where you can hook in. And, we're thinking mobile first, not online. So, that lightens the load too. There's, what's great about the person getting started is you really want to tell your story. You're more of a designer or a brand when you're that boutique-y and small, to take advantage of building customers. And then as you grow, they go with you wherever you are.
Right. That's a great point. Because sometimes I think the people starting out are looking at the bigger companies and thinking, oh, that's what I have to be starting out, and then it's a lot of confusion and frustration and maybe making investments that you shouldn't, because they're not really seeing their place in all of it. Just beginning. What's the basic?
Well, it's also really disruptive. The retail and their buying, and smaller people going direct to consumer. So there's lots of, probably, I would imagine, smaller brands trying to get into retail is probably challenging because they're in their own turmoil. So I would imagine figuring out how you build your audience is the best thing to be, to focus on, is your customer, because they'll help you build your business. If you use them to build your products and services, which is what I've done, you have people who are happy because you did what they asked, and then you get them for longer periods of time. So instead of looking at the investment of an overhead of a store, when there's no money yet, or an e-commerce platform when there's no investment dollars to spend there, it doesn't cost money it doesn't always cost money in the social channels we have to gain new customers.
That's true. And they really, the relative value of just the building and the relationships.
Yeah, and when somebody is your fan, then in the pool of customers, you get a few super fans, and they really take care of your business and your brand. So we found that too, so even like Ameren has a community hub, and there's a guy even in Ameren that answers 30,000 questions a year just because he's passionate about Ameren. So, I mean, if Ameren has passionate super fans, everybody can, because it's just so random.
Right. That's a great point to make. So, everyone, we're just going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Deborah. Not only am I host of Women Entrepreneurs Radio, but I'm also a writer and coach. I've learned that making professional changes calls for a change in mindset, and that's not always easy to do. In my book, Think Like an Entrepreneur, Transforming Your Career and Taking Charge of Your Life, you'll learn the 5 steps to thinking like an entrepreneur so that you can move from idea to action. You'll also get information on how to manage fear of failure and how to banish self-doubt. And you'll receive lots of motivation to pick you up and point you in the right direction when you're facing the emotional and mental challenges that come with making life changes. In fact, one reviewer said, the book gave me ideas to match with my own feelings. This book is clear, straightforward. All tips are really good and easy to apply. I couldn't agree more. So get your copy today of Think Like an Entrepreneur, Transforming Your Career and Taking Charge of Your Life. It's available in print, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon.com.
Hi, everyone. We're back, Women Entrepreneurs Radio, and with my guest, Kelly Stickel, CEO and founder of Remodista. And we're talking about retail and women and consumers and disruption and all kind of good things in terms of where things are going forward. So, based on what you've seen so far and how you put your business together, what are you looking forward to, I guess, achieving in the next few years? Like, what is your dream for where you're going with this?
I launched my Women to Watch program, and then, looking forward. What I'd like to do ultimately is build a platform where all of our community-type properties are engaging. So our brand leaders are learning, our technology and service partners are solving and creating future solutions, and the community is building a library of content. And the way that's what I see the growth is. I launched products about a year ago, and we've seen really great return on those products, and like to grow and connect us globally. So we've expanded to Australia this year with our program, and we're starting to map out Europe. We have plans to be in London, Paris, and Copenhagen, doing different things with women executives over there. And probably at this time next year, we'll kick off Women to Watch nominations in all 3 areas. So, yeah, I think it'll be to build the business and then investment for a platform.
Could you share with everyone where they can find out more about you?
Yes, definitely. Well, I'm on LinkedIn under Kelly Stickel, and you can find more information about Remodista, our social think tank, at remodista.com. And actually on our website, you can see there's information about the Women to Watch program, and you can also see our community, and there's a link that takes you to our sandbox where you can actually interact and collaborate with people and content. So a couple different things.
Great. So, in the last few minutes, I know it's like, mentioning the small business owner who is probably just starting their thing, their relatively small thing. Do you have any advice for her? She's listening now to this and still, maybe trying to find her way into how where can I create my thing? Where do I fit into all this? Do you have any advice for that smaller business?
Yeah, definitely. Look for those accelerators and community hubs within your city that help start up businesses. A lot of universities have women programs also to help women entrepreneurs. as far as retail, please come to the Remodista site and look at those papers. We talk in a very simplified way, knowing that everybody isn't a technology expert, and we want to create education in a simplified way so you understand it, so that everybody understands it. And then we have our retail lookbook publishing, as I said, December 8th, and that's really over 40 different projects we've done in 3 years, really trying to identify the baseline changes in retail. And she could get a lot of insight by reading that when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's always good because, when a lot of times people are starting and they just know they want to start something, but then it's like, okay, now what? Where am I and how does this fit into everything?
And it's overwhelming. I'm happy to be an ear for people or to direct, and I'm definitely a connector. So if people reach out, I'm happy to help them, answer a question or get connected to people that will help them. Mm-hmm. But it's challenging. So I would say, it takes a lot of work to build something. So if you're frustrated, you're probably in the right direction. Support.
So just keep hanging there.
Yeah, right? Hang in there. Well, it takes a lot to get something over the wall. And at the end of the day, nobody cares about it like you do, and you can't expect them to. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to have the wherewithal to get through good and bad. Mm-hmm. You have to know that you hold fear with you and you move forward. That's how courageous people move. They don't not fear things. So it's like, you get your biggest breakthroughs in your worst moments. I just look back on one day where I thought the 17th was worse or was bad until the 19th happened, and you're just like, I'll take the, like those kinds of things. You have to have the wherewithal to go through that mental pain that really opens up answers. It's an interesting puzzle, but, I can't quit on days I want to. That's my only rule.
That's a good one.
I know, because that's the day you want to quit the most.
Right.
And in building businesses, there's no guarantee. So, you have to handle, it's a great experience in being a leader. You have to handle failure because you're testing things out and things don't always work. Mm-hmm. So, if you can, I'm here. So that's why I'm here for a support system. If somebody has the wherewithal to give it a go, I can certainly help advise or point in a direction or, work with, depending on the scenario.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's great to hear because, as I said, you talk to a lot of people, and even people who haven't started anything yet. That seems to be the dream that they have in their minds, that they want to create that thing or they have that idea. But there's always that part that I guess the anxiety or not really knowing what's the first step or anything like that. So all your suggestions, I'm sure be very helpful for people who just aren't really sure what to do.
The one thing I notice is the difference between people who do things and don't is the people who do things. They just start.
Right.
So, right or wrong, they get going.
That's true. Excuse me. You actually do them, so this makes it different.
I have a lot of friends with a lot of ideas. It's just the actual key is to do them.
Right. It's true. It is that simple when you think about it. It's like, well, do something. Just make it stop.
Well, just as an entrepreneur, you do hear people like, I have this great idea. And I'm like, it all starts with an idea, and then 5 years later, it is interesting to see if you are an idea maker, they'll come. Like that. I don't know. It's interesting. Building a business is definitely a lot harder than I anticipated.
Mhm. I think a lot of people say that once they're in there and rolled up their sleeves and kind of in the trenches, because at times it can be presented as something so simple and just do this and poof. So I think it's important that people know, particularly listeners, that there are things that have to get done, and it's not simple for you to do that, but also not to be ready to just jump off the ship because it's not as easy as maybe it was presented to you, depending on who you're listening to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because there is a lot of that out there too, unfortunately. So, people have a good idea.
Right?
This will happen in 5 minutes, and no, it's not. So just don't listen to that, please. But I just have a quick question, I guess, before we wrap up. And you were mentioning the Internet of Things, and I've seen that a lot. It seems like that would really be a big disruptor. Do you see that in the retail space particularly?
Well, in the world in general, it's 2/3. Its projection by 2020 is to be 2/3 of the market. So we see that mobile and online, every single kind of baseline device technology, and the Internet of Things is really connection. So it's going to continue to be a variety of things that gather data from human to machine. So your house, your car, your smartphone, your smart car, your smart, there's just so many, so that's absolutely happening right now. It's just that it'll be so many different points of entry that it will be hard to see it all at once. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A ring, a bracelet. Everpurse is putting phone chargers in bags. Wouldn't you love your bag to have a phone charger in it all the time that's chargeable?
Yes.
Yeah, they've actually just done 3 production runs with Kate Spade, and they're actually looking, and that was actually a consumer with a problem who built something. But IoT is going to be, Rebecca Minkoff is one of our community members, the Rebecca Minkoff brand. I work with their head of e-commerce, and to see what they're doing inside their stores with their digital wall, you can text and send all your clothing into a dressing room, and they text you when it's ready. If you're missing what you don't have the right thing, you can just type in and somebody goes and gets it. You don't have to run out half clothed and send someone. And you can look at other outfits. You can actually change the lighting in the room or change the global. They have like 5 global languages. And then, you could push your purchase to the front, or you can put it on your app and get it another time, because they're realizing that the customer buys all at different times. And even if she comes into our store and tries things on and doesn't get anything, we still know she'll purchase eventually. So, yeah, I know. Lots of it. And then there's, we could probably continue talking. There's lots of interesting stuff happening.
That's fantastic, because there's just so much potential there for so many things, and some of these entry for people to get in there and really get their foot in the door with something that before would have been completely impossible, but now it's like, we can plug into this. So looks like it's really going to be a real big explosion, of opportunity for people.
Yeah, well, we're definitely hitting it, and so that's a great place to be getting women's heads up, because her head's down figuring it out. We have to, let her know, get more women on your show, about what they're doing and why and how.
Right. Exactly. Because it's, it's there, it's out there, and I guess it's just a matter of realizing, what's there for you and your potential and what you really can tap into. I think it's pretty exciting. So
it is. Yeah, it's going to be good next 5 years.
Wow. Things are changing so quickly. It's like, a few years ago, before social media was where it is now, it seems like things are just leaping, so fast that you just have to constantly be, seeing what's next and how you can get into it and what you need to do, I guess, to be ahead of it.
Absolutely. You're right. It's at lightning speed. So if you ever need a quick update, refresher, like I said, I try to talk in simplified terms, because everyone's not hanging around a computer all the time. But happy to give you some updates, because it is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is, and I would really love it to have you come back and give us some updates, and because I'm sure it's going to be completely maybe not completely different, but there's going to be some more innovation coming up, because it's really coming pretty fast.
Sure.
And I think it's great, because it's really expanding how all of us can really get in there and do the things we want to do. So, Kelly, I want to thank you so much for joining me. We could probably go on and on with
Sounds like it. You're probably going to edit this.
I know. But I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this discussion. It's been fun.
Awesome. Thank you, too. Have a good day.
You're welcome. And everyone, I know you enjoyed this show. Please make sure to share it on social media and, let them know that listening in. And also, listen again and again if you, want to pick up on everything and visit Kelly's websites and check out what she's doing and see if you can plug into that. If you're someone who's interested in the things we discussed today, I really think that you should, just jump in, at least get the information and make some kind of step forward. If you're just kind of sitting there thinking about it and you really want to do something, I think now is a good time for you to do that. So everyone, it's Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneurSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dvcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.